What's going on, guys? I wanted to make a quick video of something that just recently helped me so much, and I think that it's something we forget about, one of our most powerful tools when trading, okay? And that is using volume on multiple time frames to identify a divergence in the volume. Okay, this is really important because a lot of times we're going to be using a specific time frame, and that specific time frame can tell us stuff. We'll take for an example here. Okay, we're going to look at this chart here. Let's take for an example we're on a 5 minute. Okay, we'll just go like this. We'll use one chart. Okay, let's take for example we're on a 5 minute, and we see here, okay, this nice green candle here. We see this nice green candle here, green high volume candle, this one right here, and we see it on this almost this break, right? We see a break. So for me, this was an indecision candle, right? As we can see here, this is actually, it looks almost like a doji. The candle wasn't really telling me much about where the volume is, and that's important, okay, because that's going to give me a bias for how I should structure my trade going forward. And I don't want to structure my trade against where the momentum is about to be, right? If we have momentum right now, that's okay, but I want to look where the momentum is about to be. So if we're slowing down, I can see the momentum right now is slowing down. I can tell that there's about to be momentum, right? So I'm going to be looking here. Anyways, so let's identify, how do we look at this candle and see where the volume really was? Because that's important. I want to know where the volume really was, and especially this candle here as well. This one's also important, this nice big green candle, because if we see this, guys, if we see these candles and with this volume, we might think we're gonna break, or we might, we need to know where the volume's at. So what really helps is you go down to a lower time frame, and as you can see here, we see some volume changing, right? Those green candles are now red candles. Okay, nice red candles here. And that still doesn't tell me much, because I want to know if the volume was at the bottom of the candle, and then when it came up, we had a little bit of sellers, which either happened on both of those. I need to know this stuff, right? Because that's going to tell me where the volume is. If the volume's at the top of the candle, guys, that means that we're going to start seeing a bunch of selling coming, and that's actually what's happening right now. As you can see, the momentum is starting to change, and in fact, we saw decreasing buying volume over here, and because of that, we had these sellers here, or maybe it was one seller that's selling a lot, but I still need to know, right? So I'm going to go down on an even smaller time frame. This is still the 3 minute. We're going to get down to the 1 minute now, and we can see what's going on. Okay, it was these candles over here. As you can see, we had a rally, a nice move up here, and then boom, we had the sellers. There was a big seller there. Same thing, we had a nice move up here, boom, sellers. Okay, and this candle's actually also not telling me much, because I want to know if the volume's at the bottom of this candle or the top, and I don't know that because the volume just comes in and I still can't really see. This one is very clear, right? Because nice sell-off right after we see a volume divergence up there, but we don't see a divergence to the left of this, right? So let's come down. We're going to use another lower time frame, and I'm trying to track it again. So what time was that? What time was that? That was at 10:36. So let's go down 10:36. around here, right? Yeah, so the volume was actually before the bottom. So the volume was at the top of that candle there. If we go down to that 1 minute, the volume was at the top of this candle, and then when we came down, there wasn't any more sellers selling below there. So that's why we need to be able to use these different time frames to look at the volume and say, okay, where is it? Because if there's volume at the top there, well, we're either breaking out or we're selling off. Right? If there's volume at the bottom, well, we're either seeing buyers or we're going to flush. Right? So we need to know this. And that's why using multiple time frames and volume is so important, guys. Okay, don't think it's not. You need to track how much is getting sold at what time. You need to track this. Okay? And this is going to help you be able to time your entries and exits, because if you're going to be, buying at resistance, you need to know, is volume coming in towards resistance, and is it buying volume? You need to know this, right? So it's very important. And in fact, we could see here that the sellers were there, and even if we went down to a smaller time frame and looked around 1036, right, we can see that as we saw the sellers, boom, now we saw the buyers come in at these lows here. And in fact, this would be our first indication to get out. This is on the 15-second chart. Okay, this would be our first indication to get out, is at 1035 and a half, or 1035 and 45 seconds into 1035. This is when this happened, right? And that would be the first indication to get out, right? And even if we needed more confirmation, we could come down to the 5-second and look around 1036 here, and we could clearly see, right? We could clearly see that we were losing selling momentum, but we were gaining buying momentum closer to the bottom here. And then we saw the influx of buyers, and we retested that, and from there we came back up. But right, it doesn't mean that the momentum changed. It just means that if we were taking this trade here, that would be the bottom of this trade. So flashback to the 5 minute now of where we are. Okay, we can see on the 5 minute overall that we've got decreasing selling volume as we're coming down, right? So that could mean a couple things. We are either about to see buyers starting to come in, right? Or we're in, well, actually, yes, we're about to see buyers start coming in, but we could absorb those buyers, right? So we need to be able to watch on these different time frames and see, which, as you can see, now that we move down, so on the 5 minute here, it looks like it's decreasing volume. But on the 3 minute, we already decreased, and now we're increasing volume. We already broke it, right? We already broke the VWAP, and I had a trend line here, right? But we already broke that. So what we want to see now is we have these big, nice volume candles here. Is the volume at the bottom, or where's the volume, right? That's what we need to see. And as we can see on this green candle, this is on the 1 minute now, on this green candle, still less buyers than over here, and we push through those buyers with these candles. And let's even go on the 30-second and see if this is correct. And so it doesn't look right now. Okay, so now it looks like we are seeing buyers for sure. Okay, and buyers actually started buying around here, this area, on about 10:59:30, right? So around 11 a.m. they started buying here, and now we're seeing even more buyers come in. And there's actually a drop off on the buyers here, and we're looking to see increasing buying volume to get out of our trade, right? And so here we go. We're starting to see the increasing buying volume, and this is where I would probably get out of the trade for a profit if we took the short from up here, or and we would go long now, right? So this is where that would be. and we can even continue down on a lower time frame to see. So I definitely recommend finding a broker that allows you to use volume like this on multiple time frames, because this time in sales, guys, this tape is so important. That's why I have my time in sales filtered up here for it's anything over 999 shares on the SPY, which I'm trading right now. So if it'll print anything that's 1,000 or higher, right? I need to be able to see what the volume's doing, and I need to track that on the chart. So in case I miss it, it's already tracked on the chart, right? So that's very important to be able to time these tops and bottoms, guys. If you are not able to use volume this way, you are probably not going to get sufficient entries and exits, and that is fact. Because how can you know we're going to break this support or this resistance? Like if we look at VWAP was at 446.30, right? If we go here, we saw decreasing volume, and then we broke, and it might have already been too late, right? So we wanted to know we were going to break. So 446.30 was around here. We saw the buyers come in here, but we were decreasing buying volume coming the higher we went. Then we saw sellers start taking control over here and increasing to break VWAP, right? And that would be the indication that, okay, I'm going to get back in the trade, or et cetera, you know. So guys, this is important, okay? You need to be able to track this on multiple time frames to verify your analysis. So that's why I like to use a few different charts. I'll have usually the 1 minute up here with the volume as the primary example of what's going on, right? The volume as a primary. Rather than having the chart like this, I like to have the volume as the primary example. And then on the bottom two charts, I'll have usually the 3 minute and the 10 minute, just like this. And I'll use volume profile zones like this to verify where low volume is in the case that, because low volume zones are different than what we see here at volume at time, these bars. These low volume zones indicate to me where emotions are at played, you know, we're running out of something, et cetera, rather than high volume zones. Like if we look, see how, if you look over here, price has hit a lot of times here. Price stayed here for a long time, right? That's a higher volume zone, but price hasn't really stayed very long up here, right? So that's a low volume zone. And see, price hadn't stayed very long in this area, so that's a low volume zone. And this is all verified with the volume profile. I just like to keep it off because it kind of, I don't like too much on my chart. You know, as you can see, we have a lot of low volume up here, and the highest volume is over here. So I don't like having too much on my chart. In fact, I'd rather just have a totally clean chart like this and just use volume. But it's nice to have these low volume zones as an example of, okay, we might can see some sellers here. You know, we might can see some buyers here for above this low volume zone. We might can see some buyers if we come down into the low volume zone, right? So something to think about, guys. I'm gonna head out. Okay, I just took that short here, and this short from this top here on the 10 minute all the way down. Basically, I just covered at VWAP, and that was it. And we broke already. So yeah, that's it. I was done. And yeah, I was using the volume like that to verify that this was a short, to see that sellers were in the market here. We had big sellers here. So I used the volume in that way, and I thought that was a very good reminder that we can use multiple time frames to verify where the volume is on the chart, guys, and at what price or where on the candle the volume's at, because that can be very important. Okay, anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you gained something from this, guys. hey, if you want to get some live trading going and you like being a community of members, guys, join the Discord. It's in the description of the YouTube right there. Also, nothing that we say or do or this video even is not financial advice. This is purely for entertainment, and it's not necessarily educational, right? This is just me being excited about things that I'm learning as I'm going through my process as developing as a trader, okay? And once again, I really hope you guys enjoyed the video and learned something. We'll talk to you later and see you next time.